Good afternoon, y'all.
How's it going?
Good
Great,
evening.
great.
How
It's
you
good to
doing?
have everybody with us this morning.
Well, we here. We here.
That's a good thing. That's a good
That's
thing.
not. That's right.
I'm Jerome Irwin, president of Savannah chapter of A. Philip Randolph Institute. And with us this morning, we have Dr. Robert
We just
Bryant,
talked about.
and we have Julius Hall with us this morning. Uh, this
I got
is the vulnerable community. And we are bringing information to our communities to let them know what's going on and how to, and we're trying to keep them informed. This being the 4th of July, Independence Day, we have a question to ask. Are we really free? Due to the light of the recent rulings of the Supreme Court, it brings us to question again, are we truly free? Gentlemen, I'm posing the question to you this morning. Are we really free? Who wants to go first?
Robert can go first.
Oh, thank you. Wow. We talked. You presented this question to me earlier this morning, and I've thought about it, and it's a deep question. To answer it though, I would say 50% yes. Certain communities have certain freedoms and privileges more than others, and so that impacts access. That impacts social mobility. That impacts a number of factors that make life really good or challenging. I think when we look at the Black community, uh, freedom comes with a cost, whether that be with voting, whether that be with home ownership, whether that be with getting a loan at the bank. So I think 50% yes, and to what extent it depends on other factors like race, gender, so forth and so on.
Well, if you ask me, and I agree with you, Robert, you're talking 50-50. For true freedom, you have to have the pleasures that everybody else enjoy. And we are not enjoying those pleasures. And part of that is because every time we climb the ladder, there is always somebody holding us back also. And most times these days, we find that those people are of our own ilk. They're of our own kin, our own family, of our own race. We have to be able to, when we work so hard to get ahead, and then you have those people holding us back, not making sure that we preserve our history, not making sure that we are taking care of one another, uh, and then not being able to become that force that we can be to effect change, then no, we aren't free because they have conditioned us over the last 50, 60 years to accept the norms, to accept what they've given us, to accept mediocrity instead of being great. And we have the power to be great. We have the power to change things, but we're in those coffers, those comfortable positions where if it don't affect you right now, it doesn't concern you. And it's an emergency, but everybody don't see the urgency in this emergency. And until we do, we're gonna have a problem because uh, you know uh, we have to find a way to combat the things that the DeSantis is doing in Florida, that they're doing, the governor's doing in Texas, um, um, they're doing in Arizona, and pretty soon in Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina also. These are battleground states that we have to fight to make sure that we preserve our freedoms. And no, Mr. Irvin, we're not free yet. It's a lot of freedom to be that they're taking away from us that we need to get back. When you're talking about all the Supreme Court decisions that they put on lately, is not helping us none. It's setting us back. So how can we move forward when we have people like Clarence Thomas setting us back, and that's the problem.
When we look at, I agree with what you said, and I look deeper into that when you started mentioning the states. Our own governor is setting us back, making sure that we can't make the living, that our people can't make a living like they're supposed to. Uh, they advertise in the state of Georgia as cheap labor, and they can't get the full price, the wages that they should be getting because he's advertising as cheap labor. But the situation is, you know, we are supposed to be free. We're supposed to be able to make decisions on our own, but yet somebody else is making the decision for us. Our young folk are not realizing that they have the power to help change that. They are going, like you say, they're going along with the status quo when they could be the status quo making the changes. Uh, what do you think it's going to take to make them aware of what's going on?
I think Julius, one of you all said it a moment ago, in that we tend not to assume the urgency of issues until it impacts our own home. And that could be, for example, where, communities are being regentrified or gentrified. That can be, where with the pandemic, I didn't have COVID. So a number of things like that, in addition to understanding your roots. We talked the other day on the Watchdogs about the roots and understanding that at one time, our communities didn't have the luxuries we have now. That we had people, and right here in Savannah, where you had 10 City, and people had to develop that community on bare bones. And so when you understand your roots, when you understand the work of the ancestors and the elders, there's a different way of thinking and a different sense of urgency that comes along with that. And I think it's imperative upon all of us to make sure that we're educating and passing those stories along.
What was the whole question?
The question was, how can we? I imagine we had to. Let me rephrase it. How to get the young people to understand that they can be the status quo instead of being part of the status quo.
Oh, yeah, and that's going to take some work, because if you look around now, these kids are in a terrible state right now, and I was trying to upload something. That's why I didn't hear the question, because I was uploading something. But we that is where the work is going to have to be done, trying to get them to come on board. And until we get them to come on board, because they're a big voting block. They're very big voting block. They can change all the races. And until they know their power, when we start letting them understand their power to change the outcome of all these races, they can change the outcome of all these races with their votes. And until we start letting them understand their power and letting and being with them to show them that, hey, we're going to be there with you to help guide you to where you need to go. We need to be able to harness that power along with them and have them understand what is right for their futures, because that's all we're concerned with. Hell, we in our 60s, except for Robert, and it's time you probably in your 70s or 80s right now.
Wow.
and we ain't got long on this earth, so we have to make a way for those coming behind us, our grandkids, and our great grandkids. And until we get them to understand that they're building a future for themselves, so they need to participate in this process, that's going to be a problem. They got to participate. We have to get them hooked on on voting. We got to get them hooked on being a part of the process, being involved and engaged, so they can know what's going on in their communities, so we can lift ourselves out of this pit that we've been put into. We're in a sunken pit. And until we figure out how we're going to get out of it and start working on it, there's no comeuppance for us. We can't get out of it, you know. But the kids we got to go out to the colleges. We got to start educating the kids while they're in the home. When you go to vote, take your grandkids with them. So, well, grandpa used to go vote. I'm going to vote. They see this. People emulate what they see, you know. So don't keep the kids. I'm going to vote. No, take them with you, right, so they can see you vote.
That's
you know?
Right.
And that's what to change things. We have to be conditioned in a position to condition.
Right. You know, you said a mouthful then, because I made a statement in a big conference that we had to give the young people a chance to do what they have to do, and we have to stand beside them. They're gonna make a mistake once in a while, but we have to be there in order to show them, you know, hey, your mistake is here, but go ahead, you know, you done this, so you got to continue going now, but show them where the mistakes are, and let them see that we're standing by them, not trying to bring them down, because so many times they think we are talking down to them instead of talking to them. And I think that has been a problem that we've had in our sector of the neighborhood for a long time. Our kids thinking we talking down instead of talking to them.
Mm-hmm. That is absolutely correct. But you know, I think that, and I've heard that a good many times, that these kids today, though, they're from a different cut, and we have to be able to relate to them, but we can't baby them. We got to give them hard love. You know, we got to give them hard love, because if we don't, then they'll think that everything that they do is right. We're here to give instructions to them, not follow them. They don't know where the hell they're going. So how am I follow you off a bridge? Yeah, you have a say if you can tell it to me intelligently. But if you can't, then it is my job to show you where you need to be going, because I've lived the experience. You just coming up. So a lot of people tell me this about listening to these kids. We do listen to them, but we can't damn sure we can't follow.
We've just been joined by Brother Jamal Teray. And Brother Teray, our question today is, are we truly free?
You want me to respond to it?
Yes. Yes, we sure do.
Absolutely not. We are not truly free. We've given some semblance of freedom, but then when it comes down to it, we are still having issues. We see what has occurred in this society. And I was just going to say this: Black men and Black women have not had freedom over their own bodies from the time that they were brought here to the Americas. Again, Black women and Black men. So we know Black women more so not having any control over their bodies, and Black men not having control over their bodies. And with that, we have an issue now that expands and continues. And so for Caucasians in particular, they reap the benefits from our fight to achieve freedom. And that, again, what happened, they get the benefits and we still have to struggle, because then they would get the pushback with regards to it. So as Frederick Douglass is basically paraphrasing him, what is the meaning of the 4th of July to the African person? What is the meaning of it? And that, because again, we still got a bunch of us still in captivity, mentally, physically, psychologically, emotionally. And that this government right here, the society right here, these people right here are not willing to acknowledge it, and they have a fear with regard to that. They have not treated my ancestors fairly, and they don't treat my people fairly today. And so I expect you all to do the right thing, but then I know you're not going to do the right thing, because just like Douglas says, power concedes without a demand. We have to demand power. It never has, never will. That's what we got to do for us to have freedom.
Well, that's great that you said that about what Frederick Douglass said, what to the slave is the 4th of July. That's the topic. That's on the front cover of the Port City Review this month. Y'all go to ATR Media Group and you can read the magazine free until we start subscriptions. You can read the magazine online free right now, atrmediagroup.com, and read that what Brother Jamal was just talking about with Frederick Douglass on the cover, and we got Malcolm X on the cover of Hello Savannah. Just wanted to throw that out there.
They stole that from me.
That is true.
But I won't let them steal nothing else from you, okay?
All right. But and can I just throw another little point out there? Like, I just finished doing a tour, and I talked to these people about this, about being the best of the best. I said, when you understand you are a descendant of the best, somebody that survived something no people on this planet Earth have ever experienced what African people have experienced. That 7 out of 10 people in the family died. 3 people make it to a factory. Then 1 or 2 gonna die in the middle passage. So when you see a person of African descent here in the Americas, from Argentina to Canada, that means that they are descendants of the best, which means that you should treat each other differently, expect better from your own people, and have a love for your own people. And that tragedy that happened, I know we're going to talk about on other shows, like what happened in Baltimore, how we treat each other in Savannah. All this right here tells me that we are not free, Brother Jerome. We are not free. Because if you're free, then you got a love for yourself and for your people, that you are not going to be a nihilistic. You're not going to be trying to take them out. You're not going to be a part of the genocide of your own people if you are free. That's why I'm like saying, so we got a society that's coming at us. Then we got the people who are the minions for this society about our destruction.
Wow, you said it all right there. You know, genocide, we've been genocided and continuously being genocided. And we standing looking at it and not doing anything about it. That is, you know, when they started slavery, they brought about 12. What was it? I think it's about 12.5 million slaves out of Africa, and I've been steady bringing them ever since. And Dr. Bryant said it earlier. We I think Dr. Bryant, maybe Julius, but we've been our own worst enemy. We've been selling our people down the drain. Even in Africa, they sold the people down the drain. Now, here today, we're still being sold down the drain. We got people in office selling us down the drain. So we're going to have to wake up the young voters and teach them, and I let them know, hey, you've got your voters, your voice, and it's got to count. And be sure how to hold these politicians accountable. Any questions on any statements on that?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting you say that. I had a conversation with someone this weekend, a constituent, who talked about, you know, your vote is really your voice, and when you disregard that, or you make time to go do other things and forget to vote or choose not to vote, you basically are giving up your liberties, your voice, your agency, all of that. And so why is that important? Well, as Dr. Teray was talking about earlier, you know, last year we lost, women lost the right to control their own reproductive process. This year we see the end of affirmative action and access and equity and social mobility. What next, right? So, you know, voting rights could be restricted very soon. And so at what point does your voice become important? And I think a lot of times we take for granted certain liberties we have until they might be removed, right? So it's important that we use that vote to make sure that we are advocating, because if you don't, you'll see things like Trump appointing another 3 Supreme Court justices and how dangerous that will look.
Absolutely. That
Go
I guess.
ahead, Jamal.
I would say, I guess any of us right now, I'm saying African Americans, any African Americans, you got to look at that person who says to you that voting doesn't matter. You got to view them as being the enemy. That they are the ops. That's the real ops. That person will tell you voting doesn't matter, or somebody tell you to vote for somebody that is conservative. And when I'm talking about conservative, I'm talking about oppressive conservative that is basically pushing a line of oppression. That again, a Clarence Thomas type person that you guys see that person as the enemy. And that person who tells you not to vote, that voting doesn't matter, that there's nothing, it's all the same, that picking the worst of two enemies, the worst of the worst, we can't let them get in office. So the other one is worse too. So we don't need to be dealing with either one of them. So I'm like saying, those are our enemies right there. And you need to hit them. You need to hit them. I would want to say physically hit them, but now I need you to hit them psychologically. Stay away from them, because I don't want anybody to say on vulnerable communities I was saying that. But I was in a perfect world, you can hit them in my mind, but then we can't do that right now. But I'm just advocating that you need to hit them and get away from them. That's what hit them with regards to getting away from them. Because again, that's the enemy, and we have seen what has happened with regards to Caucasian women when they voted for these people who are their relatives, for them not to be in office. This is what they're not going to do. For Black folks who supported some of these same people, this is what they're not going to do. So now, guess what? To the Black elite, that guess what? Now your child will not be able to go to some of the schools. But guess what? You supported it. You went along with it. Those Trumpites, again, those Trumpites, guess what? You all supported it. And so now you all got the issue with regards to the controlling your body. But then you still want to act blind with regards to that. I'm saying Caucasian women acting blind with regards to that. You all still did not support even somebody like, let's say, Stacey Abrams, like you should have. Because again, it wasn't on Black folks. Black folks understood the threat. We understood the threat. But more of us could have been better. But then guess what? Most of us understood the threat, and we stood firm with regards to that. But we need other people to listen to Black folks, because we are the steadfast group in this country for the morality of this nation. And just throw it on out there that people, and why did I say that? Because people have benefited from the works of Black folks with regards to civil rights, political rights. They benefit from it, but they don't look like us, a lot of them.
And you're absolutely correct. Well, another part to that is that you have these people that say, don't vote for the Democratic Party, when it's only the only alternative is the Republican Party. And how are you going to tell somebody don't vote for the Democratic Party when the only other thing is the Republican Party, who is the slave master, who is trying to put these new policies and laws in place to control you? And you're telling them start your own party. You're helping them to win. A prime example: Cornel West entering the race for president, when statistically, running from outside of the major parties, nobody's ever won, and you're not going to win. So the only thing that you can do is mess things up. For who? Everybody that you're supposed to be concerned for. So what the hell? Let me stop. We're on the
Multiple communities.
we're not just vulnerable community. We're on the church network also. We're streaming from 6 or 7 different locations. So I got to be careful. But what Cornel West is doing is being a puppet to it's like somebody running in the race for mayor here just so they can make sure that Keisha don't get in. Like they're putting somebody in the race so they can take votes. And that's what they're doing with Cornel West. Who psyched this dude up to think that he's going to be president? Half of America don't even like you. I like him because he talks like me. He's radical. But dude, you can't be running for president, messing us up. You're going to set us back, because then when they put more people on the Supreme Court, the next thing you know, 50 years from now, they'll be shipping all us back to Africa.
And there is someone also who announced that she's running for mayor of Savannah. Her name is Davis, last name Davis.
Who is that?
African American female.
You know?
Wow, I didn't know that.
I don't know if right offhand. I'll send to you all later on because I received a text message with regards to it. But yeah, young lady, she said it's time for a change. That's what she said. It's time for a change.
Well, where has she been all this time to help us try to effect the change? And now she figured that she's our savior. She's gonna come up. I want to talk to you, Miss Davis. If you're listening, if you hear us, how about give us a call so we can have you on the show so you can tell us why it's time for change and why you're that person for to effect that change. Let us know that whether we should even give you the platform to even say those things. We need to know where you at in the trenches. If we don't know you and we out here in the streets working every day, how you gonna run for mayor? Who's gonna vote for you? All you could do is take a few votes that might go to somebody who could win.
But I will offer this, and Julius, I hear your point. But I've heard a candidate say, I'm running this campaign just to get a narrative out there, and I think that's what Cornell might be doing, is he's trying to promote a certain narrative around, I think it's social justice, Black equality, and I think there's another way to do that. And so, what we risk doing now is pulling votes from maybe Joe Biden. And what that does is open the door for Trump or DeSantis, which is really, really not good.
Yeah, because you're talking about 7 million votes separating them, even though we go by the Electoral College. 7 million votes, total votes separated them. All they need is 36 million of them to change their mind.
Yeah.
All they need is, no, not 36 million. I mean, 3.5 million of them to change their mind. If only 7 million votes separated them, all they need is for Georgia, for them to win Georgia, was 6,000 votes to change out of the 11,000. See, they won by 11,000. Trump won those 11,814 new votes. All he needed was for them to change about 6,000 of them. That would have gave him the majority of them. He can't even count because most people who run for office don't understand the numbers. You don't need 11,000 votes if you lost by 11,000. All you need to do is change half of those in there the next time around. Right. That gives you the victory, But hey, so big.
So you trying to say the man couldn't count?
Sir?
See, so you're trying to say the man couldn't count?
I'm saying a lot of politicians can't count. They don't know those numbers. They don't understand the numbers.
That's right. That's right. He knew how to count when he called Georgia, when he called Kemp.
Yeah, he wanted 11,000 votes. Oh yeah. No, you should have told him you needed 6,500 of those votes. That's all you had to tell him. You need 6,000 of them. Change them.
At some point we go back and we start looking at the races that's run, and like you say, people getting in the race that just getting there to be there, just running to get a name. I said it's running to get the name put out there, and they're taking up the votes, like you said, but at some point, it seemed as though we could come together and form some kind of alliance, I would say, that we could go to these people and say, hey, we got this person running. Let's run this person. Let's not have all these people in this race. We've got to win for ourselves. And, we got to win for the people. We got to run for the people. And it may be against the law, but it still seems like it's a way that we could do it. One of y'all lawyers?
Well, I'm certainly not in the legal profession, but I will offer this. This is something I experienced, and I think it's got to be a part of the equation that has to shift around this idea of you got to get in this pecking order, waiting your turn, and all of that. It's not a good practice. And so, in certain municipalities, it's you do this, then you do this, and then you do this. I think the only prerequisite to being a public leader is understanding why you're doing it and having the passion to do it. And what I mean by that is your goal is to be in service to the people that you're representing. That's your number one core thing for getting involved in the political process. The next issue of the next part of that is making sure that you know how to advocate. And I think if you have those two things, then you pretty much have a good idea on how to, develop a vision. But we gotta step away from this idea that, oh, you gotta, wait till this person gives you the tap on the shoulder. That's just not a good practice.
Well, I don't think that you should wait for anybody if you're ready. The thing is, are you ready? No, you don't need to wait on nobody. It's no pecking order for you to come up. You got to be ready, though. You got to make yourself ready.
Mhm.
You got to prepare to do this. You just can't tell me you're going to be a doctor and you're going to go operate and cut me open and you've never been to medical school. No, you got to prepare. You can't go cook me a 5-course meal and you've never even been in front of on top of the stove cooking before. No, you got to prepare. No, you ain't got to wait on nobody. Everybody's entitled to do. This is America. Do what you want to do. If you can fill out this form to run, then fill that form out and run. But you can't expect anybody to be with you if you haven't prepared. If you're not, I'm not saying that you got to be qualified, but you need to be certified.
Mm.
Brother Torrey.
I was just saying that, piggyback off of what Julie was saying, that again, because we live in the United States, and that anyone who feels the right that they are able to tell, or to represent, to articulate, and want to become leaders and go along with what Dr. Brian said, that's well within their right to go and do that. But then also with regards to why do you do that? Why do you truly feel you have the skill set to lead, and what agenda platform are you going to be advocating, and are you looking at the totality of it all? Like, are you going to be in a position to bring about some damage to someone else that might be a better person? And so that is something that concerns me with some people when they decide to run for office, because some people decide to run for office because of ego, and not about we go. I tell folks it should be about we go, that we go together in success. And so, but again, we can't prohibit anybody from running from office. So I'm not going to be one of those people that say, no, you can't run. You can run. But then is it going to be advantageous for all of us, with your agenda? And just like Julie put it out there, what work have you been doing in the community? What work you've been doing in the community? And if you're doing individuals work, that's fine. That's okay. But then just be careful about not just doing it based on ego, because sometimes people are sinister with regard to why they want you to run, and that is to cause a split, to cause a rift, so then that way you can get this other person in the office.
Yeah, I agree with that. Do we have? All right, I think when we ask the question again, are we free? And we look around our neighborhoods and we look at what's going on in our neighborhoods, we see so much violence in the neighborhood. And some of it is being created by those who have the power. They're creating certain instances wherein it looks like, hey, you need to hate that person over there. You need to hate that person over there. You need to go do this and you need to go do that. How do you suggest that we address some of these issues to help bring some of that down?
Well, oh gosh, that's interesting. I think about this pretty often. We as a culture have experienced a lot of hurt, pain, and trauma. We as individuals have also experienced that in different ways. And it's important to do often a self-assessment, a reflection, and to check in and see where you are, where you want to be, and how you get there. And then you think about how does the community play into all of that, and how your presence impacts the community, and how, like Julia said earlier, where can you become that mentor or that person that can pull somebody aside and offer that education. I often tell people, if a person isn't willing to correct you or give you feedback, then they don't care about you. And I think in our community, we can all do a better job of offering that feedback and encouragement and that support. But I think it starts with taking a moment to self-reflect and then bring the community in and see where you can have a positive impact.
Jamal, you want to go or you want me to go?
You can go.
Okay. Well, how do we get with all the violence on the streets today? It is partly a unconcern to many of our leaders. They'd rather make sure that buildings are being built instead of communities being safe. And it's a lot of them like that. We don't have when there's a tragedy, we don't have a coalition of people coming together trying to stop it. Where's our NAACP? Where is the National Action Network? Where are all our community leaders getting together? Where is this think tank so that we can find out? Why do we just have to be the ones asking the questions? Oh, we're going to keep asking them. But why is it just us asking those questions? Why can't these people get in the room and figure out what can we do to make these communities safer? What can we do to make our people's lives better? Everybody else do it. They're scared to be black in this part of the state. They're afraid of their own blackness, like Chris Thomas says. You have to understand who you are when you look in that mirror every day. You have an obligation to save the person behind you, whether they look like you or not. But more so, if they do look like you, you have a bigger obligation. And they're not doing that in this county, in this city. They're not doing that at all. And we're not holding them accountable. We keep electing these people that don't give a rat's butt about any of us. And we got to change that. These kids are not just killing themselves because they want to.
That's right. They
killing themselves because and killing each other because we're letting them. Like I heard Judge Leroy Burke say, the worst thing ever made was the air conditioner. That was the worst thing ever made to affect changes in the black community, because we went from sitting on the porch and minding everybody's kids to being in the house and nobody's minding them now. Now, when you come out of the house, you can't get in their business because snitches get stitches. Before, you could help raise a community up. We can't do that no more. So it's going to take all of us understanding that we have to take control and responsibility for these kids out there today. Mentor. How many kids are you mentoring? It ain't just about you doing well. We got to mentor these kids into doing well. We got to bring them up to the next level with us. We can't leave them out there with no hope and hopelessness. So that's what the whole thing is. We got to be able to work together to change the conditions of our community. These kids are going to still be shooting. It's a cycle, and that cycle it just goes back to that saying that I heard some years ago, and it's a cycle. And if you just think about it, just think about that cycle. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. Hard times create strong men. It's a cycle. We go around in this cycle all over again, and it just keeps. Those conditions make the next condition possible. And then when you got it so good in those conditions, it makes those conditions possible. So it's a cycle that we have to, and we're going through that cycle right now. These kids today are just out of hand and out of control, and we're not doing anything to break the cycle. This is what's scaring me. It's going on too long. Jamal?
Brother Tariq.
Hold on, I got
You're
you.
on mute. You're
I
on
got
mute,
you.
Tariq, brother.
Oh, maybe I don't. There you go.
Now you down low. Jamal.
We can't hear you.
Jamal, we can't hear you. Jamal.
Let me try this. There you go. We got you.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Okay, now start all over because we couldn't hear you before.
All right, because I had unmuted, but thank you. Yeah, someone called in, and so that's what they like.
Right, that's what stops it.
And so, but I shared with folks recently and said that what we're seeing in Savannah, I'm just throwing this to Savannah right now, that we see profits over people and see profits over preservation. And with regards to that people are no longer concerned, and that it is tied to leadership and how we function, that we allow certain things that people.
I don't know what's going on.
Keep going out.
Let me try this. Not let me. Okay. No.
You got to go out and come back in.
Yeah.
And then, because when you do that, when somebody calls you, it messes up your frequency if you're on the phone.
Yeah. That's weird. Okay.
Like you say, it's a 360-degree circle that we're running in.
Yeah.
And they say there's an old saying that there's nothing new under the sun. And what happens now has happened before, but it just didn't happen to us. And we seem to think it's a big change, but it is the same thing that happened somewhere down the line before. So we have to, like you say, we have to invent a change to it, to make a change to it.
Right. We do.
Go ahead.
Huh?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You start to say something.
No, I was saying we do because that cycle is a cycle that we put ourselves into to understand that conditions bring on other conditions. And those conditions, you run them for a while until you get tired and they bring on a different set of conditions. And that's that cycle. But right now, what I'm seeing is people are not concerned enough to break the cycle. And we have these kids still set in that pattern of destruction. And here comes Jamal so he can finish on what he was saying, if he can.
There you go.
Go ahead, Brother Jamal.
All right. What I was saying that what I've realized that we have a situation again in Savannah, but it's all over. But I'm talking about Savannah right now, where we have it's about profits over people and profits over preservation. We mask it and hide, say that we love our history, we love, and that becomes a part of the billion-dollar industry here in the city of Savannah about preservation. But they do not preserve Black communities and not concerned about preserving the Black story. So that's even long before Ron DeSantis. But again, we don't preserve that. And then the former mayor of Savannah, Eddie Deloach, said at a city council, I'm not at a Chamber of Commerce meeting he had with them, that he said that there's a ring of poverty in Savannah, a ring of poverty in Savannah. And so he understood it and put it out there. You have the tourism going on, and that, but then you got massive poverty around. And that massive poverty fuels and pumps the tourism that is happening here. So you have people working, as Keisha Kirsten Carter said, I ultimately said, a system of plantocracy. So tourism in Savannah is a plantocracy. Then you have people who now with the ILA, because the Georgia Port's a major industry here, but the ILA, you have young Black leaders there who now are fighting older Black leaders. That's why for me, it's not just about young people, but it's everybody. It's the old, it's the middle, and the young. All are insane and causing problems for us. So you now have young leaders who are now saying we cannot follow the same game plan. You have young people who are now saying that we need to take a more stronger political approach. Well, but you got the older folks who are guiding other people not to do that, because again, they think that approach works. And so, and all of it is killing us right now. And economically, well, we should be in a position where we see black millionaires being created. Guess what? It wasn't the young people that prevented the black millionaires. It's the people that's sitting on here right now. It's our generation that prevented the black millionaires from being created in the city and the ones before us. So when are we going to look at, again, the entire family is sick. We need health care for the entire family, because we are messed up. Because again, like I said, the profits drive other people to betray us, and that's what occurs here. And so they are. So we talk the violence that's happening. The violence is happening because of older people, people like ourselves, and younger people. It's all of us involved in this violence against us. And guess what? That violence is going to visit some of us. And then when that tragedy happens, guess what? Don't expect me to cry for you. I'm talking about y'all who are on here, I'll cry for y'all. But the other people, I'm not crying for none of you. Because I'm like, your profits over people is causing to occur. Your profits over preservation, your profits over economic power and political power. That's why we're not dealing with this right now. And that's why these young people cause harm to themselves, and old people cause harm to themselves and cause harm to all of us.
When you said profit over people, it brought to my mind Yamacraw, Caton Homes, Frazier Homes. Profit over people. Where are these people going? Where are they going to live? How are they going to survive? How many families are we talking about that will be displaced with no place to go? Somebody give me an answer.
And so let me throw something out there. I shared this with an administrative official on last week and an elected official on yesterday. I said, guess what's going to happen with regards to when they give those vouchers out to those people, and when those people go to those places, we had this conversation last week. I said that there is a dearth of affordable housing. There's not enough affordable housing here in Chatham County. People going to say Savannah. I said in Chatham County. And I had said this over 20 years. Keisha Gibson Carter and I had this conversation back in 2000 about this issue right here. We've discussed this. And so I said, guess what's going to happen? That not only that they're going to give the people vouchers, but guess what? When they go with those vouchers, what's going to happen? That they go to that voucher is going to, let's say it's $1,300. But that landlord is saying, well, actually, I'm renting this place. I need to rent this place for $1,800. So what's going to happen? That person's going to say, and they're going to be forced in this situation where because they won't be able to find anything else, that they're going to be forced and now going to say, under the table, I give you $500. And so the Housing Authority of Savannah will be provided the $1,300, but then what will happen? The $500 will be coming from that person. And then when that person loses their job, then that landlord is now going to complain to the Housing Authority and then say, well, hey, listen, I need them to be gone. They need to be evicted. They're not paying them out of the rent. That's when then what's going to happen. The case manager is going to say, we've been paying you the full amount. Like, no, it's $1,800. They've been giving me $500 in addition to that. That's still going to have those people not kicked off the Housing Authority Section 8 program. So now what I said to an elected official on yesterday and said to an administrative official on last week, because I've seen this, and now what this is the type of stuff, we're going to create an even greater issue now with regards to homelessness with regards to this. Yes. Yeah. And because, again, you go to where these people go. Yes.
And that just aggravates and exacerbates the problem. We here you got more people now, those people with those teenage sons who feel like there is nowhere for us to go. What they do then? They go join a gang. So you got a bigger problem, Mr. Mayor and Ms. Housing Authority Director. You got a bigger problem because now those 16, 17-year-old kids who are now homeless, displaced, and underserved, now they go join a gang. So now your gang population rises. And you wondering what the damn problem is. You're creating the problem. You're part of the problem.
It's interesting you say that. We talk a lot about all of the work that has been done on Broughton Street, and if half of that was put into nonprofits or youth programs, how impactful that could have been. but we pour so much money into people who don't live here, and we have an issue right before us. And at what point do we get it? If we educate and we put resources in these areas and with these youth, we could change the narrative. But we have an administration that just does not either want to understand it or doesn't care.
And you make a great point, Robert, because the thing is, that old song, "Get Rich or Die Trying"? The thing is, they haven't tried. The $22 million you're talking about, 14 million, whatever they spent on Broughton Street, they could have used the whole 14 million to do what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
At least try.
I got one more.
Try to make a change.
I got one more for you, Julius. They
What's
just
that?
invoked the tax, a 20 penny tax, I think they said it is, but it'll create $30 million. But guess where that $30 million is going? It's going to River Street.
Yep.
Yeah, the tourist
Yeah, I'm
district.
saying Mr.
Yeah.
River Street needs with $30 million.
Make those tourists pay to make conditions better to the people whose lives they are affecting. They come here and they've gentrified most of the area. They're making it great for a certain section of the community to thrive and to be safe. And then the out the city, who still have to pay these taxes also, get no benefit from it.
Right.
There are no community benefits for us. So it's a lot that has to be done, because you need forward-thinking people, not people who think who don't think because they're being controlled by somebody else.
Go ahead, Brother Jerome.
And to share with y'all what happened on last week, on last Friday, the Forsyth Park Community Association, they had a public engagement meeting with regards to the development on Gwinnett and East Broad. And so I went there, Alderman Keisha Gibson Carter, Alderman Alicia Miller Blakely, Tara Scott Brown were there, and all of us shared points. And one of the things I said to the people who were there, and now our audience was predominantly Caucasian, I said that, guess what? You all concerned about the project that's going on and what they're going to put up this 5-story, 200-unit complex over here. I said, if the property was on the other side of the street, it would have been protected. And I said, that's what part of the problem is, that there are conservation districts in the city of Savannah and Chatham County. But guess what? It's not in the way the Black areas are. And so when Black people, African Americans, have been articulating this, that guess what? Everybody stood on the sideline. Caucasians stand on the sideline. Y'all think it's just a Black issue. No, it's not. Now, when you all not come and you regentrify our neighborhood, you economic segregate our neighborhoods, so you come into it, you see how we were not protected. You understand how, again, you should be involved with us in some of this right here. So when we articulating this right here, it is to the advantage of everyone. I tell folks, when Black folks now speak about matters and issues, guess what? It benefits everyone. Now, some of y'all sitting out there, your friends, rather, sitting out there thinking that that's incorrect. No, when Black people speak, because we are speaking for everybody, because it's about bringing about parity. But then here goes someone who was there, that's not necessarily his concern. He thought it was a great plan. And so Tara and them had to ask the question to him, how long had he been in the city of Savannah? He said 16 years. Now folks will say, no, you just been 16 years. We are from here. And so that's what we have to have, that power. And I tell people all the time, when I tell people, say, I am from Savannah and Hilton Head, why do I do that? Just to let people know. And that's all I'm saying. My people been here since at least 1814. I'm letting you know I invested here. That means that I invested here in this area. So when I articulate some stuff, I'm not just talking about something from right now. I'm talking about from the very beginning. My people made it possible for people to be here. And so what we need to say, those of us who are from Savannah, we need to assert our Savannah nature, because that means that we have a investment in this community right here, in this city, in Chatham County. We need to make sure people understand that, because people, the Johnny-come-latelys come along, and then they begin directing how stuff should happen. We need to be forceful with regard to this and let people understand. You need to sit back and listen to us, then go from there. We will educate you. But no, we're not going to let you just go and continue to tell us stuff. But that's what happened with our elected officials and our societal leaders here, that, again, they let other people articulate them for them to get some crumbs off the table. The masses of us get nothing at all. We see the pain and the anguish of our people daily, and we understand why, because we're from here. Each one of us know we got people here that we know and saw how their lives have been shaped by the inequities that have happened here. And am I supposed to be happy about that? No, I'm not supposed to be happy about that.
It's my job to stand up and look out for those people because we went to school together, we slept together, we played together, we cried together, we laughed together, we mourned together. And so I'm supposed to be happy that when I see my brothers and sisters who are homeless right now, who are from here, and what was the difference for me? It was just a roll of the dice, essentially.
Well, with that, we want to thank each and every one of y'all. Brother Teray, you nailed it on the head, brother.
Mhm.
You nailed it down for us. We will be back with the vulnerable community again. Hopefully we'll be on next week, and we hope to bring more information back to the public. We thank everybody for joining us this evening. Brother Hall, we thank you for the time. Brother Bryant, we thank you. Brother Teray, as usual, thank you, my brother. And we'll see everybody again next week. Thank you very much, and have a blessed day and week.
So